Hello and welcome. We are live this week from the Richmond International Raceway. It's the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. As always, Monday nights live on MW Productions. Welcome to the show. My name is Evan Pasoko, up in the broadcast booth this evening. And again, it is going to be Richmond in the Richmond 160 Race 9 on this 2014 campaign and the second race of the second segment here with the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, guys. And just to get you guys caught up and prepared for this evening's race, we got to take a look back at a couple of results here from our previous races. Last week, the Talladega Super Speedway, Rhett McBride able to come home in the number one position after leading 4 laps to get that victory. CJ LaVere comes home in second. He led 11 laps. Adam Benefiel comes home in third. Ryan Vaughn fourth. Scott Simley coming home in 5th with 14 laps, led Eric Brundys in 6th, John Abbott 7th, Brandon Peterson in 8th, Thomas J. George 9th, and Jason Lester would round out the field for that set of guys, and that would update our championship standings a little bit. Eric Brundys in 2nd. He trails to the points leader right now, which is Rhett McBride. McBride sits up there by 3 points over Brundys in the 2nd spot. McBride sitting on 2 wins this season at the number 1 spot. Only 3 top 5s. A different story for Eric Brundys, who's second. Brundys with 1 win, but 5 top 5, so not a lot of points separating those guys. Then you got to look almost a race back to find Thomas J. George, third in the points, 40 back. 46 back is Jonathan Cadell, sitting on a win this season in the number 4 spot. 5th is Brandon Peterson, 59 points back. Joey Chatina, 6th in the championship standings. He is 66 back, 74 back, and 7th is Steve Gottschalk, and then a tie for 8th in the championship standings, Kevin Linden and Scott Stenzel. Both those drivers 77 points back, positions 8th and 9th, and then Guy Snyder could round out the top 10 in those points. Again, 81 points back, but it's very close up at the front of the field, but we do look forward to this evening's races. Practice starting to wind down, and the drivers will then go into a 5-minute qualifying session to put down their 2 fastest laps to try to get that pole position. Talk a little bit about the Richmond International Raceway, located obviously in Henrico County, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia. Capacity crowd here is going to be 97,912, owned and operated by the ISC International Speedway Corporation. Opened in 1946. A lot of history at this racetrack. The track itself, an asphalt surface, 0.75 miles. We're doing 160 laps here this evening, so that's going to be 136 miles till we get that checkered flag from the drop of the green flag. The turns, 4 turns, 14 degrees in the turns, 8 on the front straightaway and 2 on the back. And again, the front straightaway here is considered a D-shaped oval. The front straightaway, not necessarily a tri-oval, more of a D-shaped there. So back straightaway, only real straight part on this racetrack, and going to provide for a lot of racing. Obviously, this racetrack known for being the last one of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series regular season, always provides some drama, and you can't really go wrong with short track racing on iRacing when we're going to go from the biggest track, the Talladega Super Speedway, down to one of the smallest tracks here in the Richmond International Raceway. Right now, fastest car in practice, Justin Wilson. A couple subs in this evening. Scott Stenzel has a sub. It's going to be Kyle Tarasca filling in for him at the 42. Sam Edwards is subbing as Joey Jatina, going to be in the 14 for him, and then Glenn Campbell subbing Dwayne Vincent in the number 44. But practice has wind down, and the drivers are going to go to the grid now and go and try to put down those fastest laps and qualify and see who can get the pole. So we're going to go down trackside while they do that and go to the promo and opening ceremonies before we get this thing going. Qualifying gonna come to a close here, and we are set to get these guys rolling for 160 laps at the Richmond International Raceway. Again, the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series Richmond 160, and the field has been set. The drivers get lined up on the grid. We're going to take you down through the starting order. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, Justin Wilson with a 27.07 in the 58 machine, going to be starting on pole position. Adam Betterfield going to be outside on that number 1 row, starting second in the 85. Eric Brundy's Rhett McBride, top 2 of the championship, going to split row number 2. Brundy's going to be starting third, and McBride starting fourth. Kyle Taraska driving the number 42 machine, subbing for Scott Stenzel, going to be starting in the number 5 spot. Steve Gottschalk in the 91, going to be starting alongside him on row 3 in number 6. Scott Simley, the 68 machine, going to be starting in the number 7 spot. Another sub driver, Dwayne Vincent, in the 44, subbing in for Glenn Campbell, going to be starting in 8th. Jonathan Goodell starting in position number 9, along with Thomas J. George in 10th, going to round out the top 10, and those drivers making up row number 5. Brian Harvey starting 11th. Kevin Linden going to be starting 12th. Brendan Mercer starting in that unlucky number 13 spot, the number 29 machine. John Abbott in the 10, scheduled to be starting in position number 14. Nathan Little in the 41, going to qualify on the inside of this next row, starting in the number 15 spot. Alongside him outside, starting 16th, the 92 of Jason Lester. Hollis Vanderlooen in the 18, going to be starting 17, and 18th position going to belong to the 78 of Brandon Peterson. Nathan Bowers in the 03, going to be starting in the 19th position, and JOV in the 35, going to be starting in 20th. Last car to take time, and then we have Sam Edwards, our third and final substitute on the evening, subbing in for Joey Chatina, going to be starting in the 21st spot. In the 14, Dan Murray in the 55, going to be starting in 22nd. CJ LaVere in the 4, going to be starting in 23rd. 15 of Keith Brooks Jr. alongside him in 24th. Ed Williams Jr. going to roll the 65 off in position number 25, and 26 alongside him is going to be the 31, the Navy Nuke of Eric Arnold. And then rounding out the field, the back row, Mark Bratcher in the 46, going to be starting 27th, and 28th of Jose Malbrand in the 53, going to round out your field. So 28 cars on the grid this evening, 20 of them going to take a time in qualifying. And again, Justin Wilson, the fastest of them all, as he was in the practice session. And he will be starting from that number 1 spot. Again, 160 laps around this 0.75 mile racetrack now, and the field going to go around one more time, 2 warm-up laps. This track is under a mile in length, so this is going to be the one to go next time by. We will get the green flag, and we will be set to go racing. Again, 160 laps of one of the larger fields that we've seen at the Cast Festival races. Again, 28 drivers set to get going here. You got the Chevys, the Fords, and the Toyotas, which are recently new, that everybody's been taking a liking to so far in the iRacing service, much anticipated. But good to see those out on the field. And talk about the front row, pole sitter a Chevy, second place, Toyota, third, a Ford. So very, very evenly split here amongst the manufacturers, but we are getting ready to get this thing underway. Through 3 and 4, pace car has its lights off, getting ready to dive down to the safety pit road. Pace car on pit road. Justin Wilson is going to be in control of this race. He's going to wait on it, gets to the restart zone. Green flag flies, 58 of Wilson. Going to try to check out. It is side by side for second. The 94 of Brundy's on the inside. Going to get it over the 85 of Adam Betterfield. And then quick single file, double file, you find it at the number 6 spot. The 91 of Steve Gottschalk has the 68 of Scott Simley on his inside. That's 2 rows of 2 wide. The 68 of Simley. Now we're wrecking in the back of the pack. Caution gonna fly as a big traffic jam going down into the corner. A couple cars gonna find the wall. Caution is out, and it's gonna start with the 14 and the 03, the 14 machine of Sam Edwards. Again, substituting for Joey Chatina here. Goes to the inside of the 03. And as soon as he goes to the inside, the 03 just turns left on him. And clear miscommunication with those guys. And Nathan Bowers in the 03, they both go around. 03 into the wall, the 14 gets on the brakes and gets the better end of it. The 03 gets the short end of the stick per se, because Nathan Bowers picking up a little bit of damage there. but this is going to put us under our first quick caution here of the evening on lap 1 down the back straightaway. Going into turn number 3 is where the incident occurred. So we're going to group them back up. Don't anticipate any of our leaders coming down pit road this time. Maybe a couple guys in the back, especially the guys that were involved in that incident, coming down. And first car down pit road appears to be 21st on back. Going to come in and make their stops. Trouble for the 35 machine. Already 2 laps down. The 35 of JOV started this race in 20th. And Jorge dropping 2 laps down now. So problem on the start for his number 35 Twizzlers Chevrolet. But tough break for him and his crew. They're going to have to figure out a way to get that back. And with the way that these cautions tend to fall, if there's an incident, you're going to have somebody 1 lap down to get that wave around and get back on the lead lap. So he's going to have to hope and try to ride this thing out. But 2 laps down, he has a lot of time to get it back. Still early on in the going, but not going to be the easiest task per se. Not the way that he wanted to start out his night. We saw there on the initial drop of the green flag, Adam Benefiel did start in second on the outside of row number 1. And it appears that the inside lane is the way to go there in those opening laps. We were able to see Eric Brundy's jump up to the number 2 spot because he had the inside lane and he started behind the control car on those restarts. Now we're going to see if they can trade those back off, because now Benefiel is going to be starting in third, Brundy's in second. We're going to try to get that position back as, again, we pace here under our first yellow flag of the evening. Talking about our winners real quick so far in this 2014 campaign. Most is 2. Chad Cole has 2. He's 34th in the points. Has not shown up in a couple of races. Dwayne Vincent with a win as a substitute driver. 2 wins, though. He is the highest, and one of the guys that has it is Rhett McBride up at the top of the championship. Eric Brundy's with 1 win, along with CJ LaVere picking up a win. Jose Gonzalez also has 1 on his resume. And a couple other guys, obviously we mentioned Dwayne Vincent, who is racing here this evening as a substitute driver. He also has 1 win on his resume so far in this season. And again, this is the second race on a second segment. So 1 season, but multiple championships divided. So last week at Talladega, we kicked off this second segment where you're going to be counting a little bit of separate points, and you can walk away with the win on this one for sure, as opposed to, and also including the overall season championship. So again, this is race number 9 on the season. First segment was 7 races, and this segment's going to end on race 14 at Kentucky. So that'll also be another 7-race segment, which will include, obviously, Talladega last week, Richmond this week, Charlotte, Atlanta, Pocono, Michigan, and Kentucky. Now as the lights go off the base car, so those are the races that are going to be in the second segment, again, of the 2014 Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, presented by Gary Mercer Trucking. Going through 3 and 4, getting ready to once again do a green flag racing. Pace car down to the safety of the pit lane. Justin Wilson going to get it in the 94 of Brundy's. Caught napping on the start. The 85 of Benefiel, no issue taking second spot. Benefiel able to get that. Brundy's has to settle in for third. Kyle Tarasca 4th, and now the side-by-side is by Tarasca, and it's the 68 rather, of Simley on the outside lane, as these guys try to get sorted out into the corner. The 91 of Gottschalk on the inside of the 11 car of Jonathan Cadell. These guys shuffling for their positions on that restart, trying to get things sorted out. The 11's going to make a nice move to the inside. Cadell, that leaves the 91 of Gottschalk kind of left up there hanging. He gets to run off the corner, but not enough. You can see the inside lane is the place you want to be, and the 11 is going to be able to clear that 91 of Steve Gottschalk and pick up that position. So scoring it up, the Cadell gets the spot, which was the number 8 position that those guys were battling for. Wilson up front has opened up a half a second gap on this field, and everybody else is single filed out right now. Again, all drivers on the lead lap but 1. JOV is 2 laps down. Jorge Villegas is 2 laps down after having some problems earlier. Ed Williams Jr., the last car on the lead lap, in the number 26 position. So 27 cars at the 28 decided to start this race. In trouble for our leader, Justin Wilson. Gets sideways at a turn 2. He's going to lose a lot of spots. Kyle Tarasca now trying to pick up a position on him, and he's going to drop back to 3rd. Wilson, after opening up a half a second lead, is now 7/10 back after that slip. coming off of turn number 2, was able to recover it, but is going to lose that all-important track position that he was slowly starting to pull away on. And you got to think, with this amount of cars, a lot of cars, not a lot of racing room. But one would imagine that this race is going to have its fair share of cautions, because typically when you get a less amount of cars, you're going to be more spread out, there's going to be less contact. Who knows? This thing could set up for a long green flag run. Just a couple laps in. Again, we had a caution on the opening lap with that green on lap 6. Right now, race leader Adam Benefield tosses the line to start lap number 13. So again, just trying to get this race started. Still in its opening stages here. Again, 160 laps is the distance. Till we get to the checkered flag when it's all said and done, we crown our winner for the RSR Richmond 160, race number 2, segment number 2. Adam Benefield up front, keeping an eye on the times. Justin Wilson slowly chipping away. He knocked a 10th off at that time. He sits third. It's the 94 of Brundy's in the middle. Again, we talked about Brundy's and McBride, top 2 in the championship, split that second row at a start. McBride now has dropped back to 6th, and Brundy's has moved up to the number 2 spot. Now one car spinning down the back straightaway, having a report of it. It is the 53, is in the inside wall. Jose Malbrand spins from the number 22 spot. Does not get into the wall. No caution going to be thrown by the sim. He needs to get up the speed as our leaders go by him. And a big mistake by the 53 machine. It's the same thing that we saw that happen to Wilson when he was up front, but the 53 unable to hang on to it. And he now is just going to be able to get up the speed. He is going to lose a lap and then some, as he is already about 1.5 laps down now, as he was unable to really get back up at the racing surface and get back up the speed, as he did not want to interfere with our leaders who were coming on by. The battle is for P2, the 58 of Wilson, to the inside of the 94 of Eric Brundy's. He will do that successfully, as he had slowly been chipping away at the 94, 58 again. When he was up front, he was slowly pulling away with his lead, and then obviously with the spin, so he had shown that he was the fastest on the track, and he has closed the gap, which was 0.777 seconds from Adam Benefield. Once he recovered, it has now been closed in to about 0.4, and that time by Benefield going to pick up a 10th. 0.5 seconds is the difference between the top 2, and now caution is going to fly right in front of our leaders. Down the back straightaway, and caution is out. Trying to get an eye on that. We saw one car sideways. We saw the 31 sideways, but not around. And that would be unusual for the caution to come out for that machine, as he just got a little bit sideways. But I know that he was slow, and it is going to be a different car, yes, like I thought. No, it is Eric Arnold in the 31, the only car that really sees sideways. I guess he did slow down significantly enough and was essentially stopped in the middle of the racetrack as our leaders were heading right at him. So the caution is going to be thrown by the sim, and leaders going to come down pit road now, led by Adam Benefield. He was just able to hold off Justin Wilson until we got to that caution flag, and let's see if we see the early strategy here to going at Richmond International Raceway 2-4. What are you going to do to get some track position? It's a short track. You need all that you can get. Now the guys are going to enter their stalls down here at the end of pit road. 58 of Wilson pole sitter, the last pit stop, or the last pit stall rather. You see that this part of the pit road basically extends down into turn number 1. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires for all of our leaders that come down pit road, and 85 does remain your leader off of pit road. A couple cars staying out. Ed Williams Jr. not electing to come down pit road. Nathan Bowers, Dan Murray. We have Eric Arnold, who is 1 lap down, who will peel down now. And the one of Thomas J. George going to go to the pole. So as these cars take care of their pit stops, we're going to go away and take a quick commercial break. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series live from Richmond. More after this. Back live at Richmond. Lights are off on the pace car. You're tuning in as every Monday night to the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. This week, race 9 and race 2 of the second segment here at RIR. Getting set for another restart after the second caution of the race, and a couple guys staying out. That's the guys you see on the front row. Thomas J. George leading us to the green flag. He is going to fly, and he is going to take off the 55 of Dan Murray on no tires. Kind of slow at a high lane. 85 of Adam Betterfield to the inside. He's going to bring the 58 of Justin Wilson with him. Those guys could go around on the inside and have their sights set on your race leader. And the 85 is already there as we have a bit side-by-side back towards the back end of the top 10. But it is for the lead. The one machine just can't hold it on those old tires. A very interesting strategy called a not pit at all. And it's going to produce dividends as the 85 of Betterfield around with ease. The 58 as well, and now the 94 of Eric Brundies joining the fray to get to the inside on the 1 of George as well and be able to make those passes as now the top 4 single files out for now. The next side-by-side battle was for position number 7. Jonathan Cadell able to hang on to that over the 41 of Nathan Little. And then everybody else single file for the time being. A little bit of more shuffling. Drivers trying to get into their spots, but to no surprise, Justin Wilson is closing on Adam Betterfield up at the front of the pack. You see they run right now with about 3-4 car lengths in between the guys, and right now sitting top 2 on the track. 58 has proven to be the most consistent and the fastest driver to this point in the race. Trying to see if he's able to complete that and get to the number 1 spot. He was leading before he had that trouble at a turn number 2. Everybody else again still surviving. Oh, one car spinning down the front straightaway. Looks like he saves it. A lot of smoke. The 29 of Mercer is slow. He got sideways, just like we saw our race leader Justin Wilson do earlier. What a save for the 29. The title sponsor machine of Brennan Mercer. And a couple guys having some problems down the front straightaway from what we hear. One car's in the grass. Trying to get a number on that machine. It's the 53 again of Jose Malbrand for the second time tonight. Spinning at the front straightaway right by the start-finish line. Gets down into the grass, does not spin it around, and they keep the green flag in the air.
Then front stretch.
Now another spin. Caution going to fly this time as front straightaway is acting like black ice, and it is C.J. LeVere. And this time they do throw the yellow as he spins from the number 17 spot. Saves it, but got 2 sideways for the officials' liking and decides to throw the yellow. So the sim going to throw the yellow, and we do go under caution for the 3rd time tonight here at Richmond International Raceway. It's not the amount of cars that's attributed to the cautions like one might imagine. Again, 27 guys took the green flag, and you think with the minimal amount of room that would not be the most ideal situation. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, all the spins, several spins. Again, we had an incident like this a couple races back in which a lot of cars spun, but maybe about a third of them only came out with yellow flags. That's the same situation that we have here. A lot of cars spinning at a turn number 2. And this evening it is turn 4, which has been the calamity corner, per se. We've seen a handful of guys, 3 of them right there in those last, 2-3 laps that we had before this caution flew, where guys just getting sideways. I know that one person really struggling with that is Jose Malbrand in the number 53 car.
Lucky dog coming through.
Beep, 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 beep.
He's coming around as the lucky dog. You see him going around there on the high side to get one of his laps back. He's gotten sideways good 2-3 times at least in this race already, and the race is still young. The night is still young. Short track racing under the lights. With the full moon, who knows? Monday night's Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series is what it is, as we do week in and week out. And still a young race, but we're starting to knock some of these laps off. Currently working lap number 33. Again, of 160.
For some reason, I got a black flag for
under the yellow
passing
flag
under yellow,
here.
but
Again, Justin
that the road
Wilson,
was open.
he's in the #1 spot. We talked about the fact, or rather the question, if he would be able to get around Adam Betterfield. He has done so. So Justin Wilson, not by a lot, but without question, the fastest car on the racetrack so far to this point. This evening's affair, and again, the caution laps a little bit longer here at Richmond. Again, the lights still remain on the pace car this time by.
You're supposed to pit the next time by, not the first time by.
The officials are just sorting some stuff out with our wave around car of the 53 of Jose Malbrand. A little bit of confusion on the wave around instructions, so they're trying to get that sorted out. Comes around and they're just discussing when he was to come down pit road in comparison to when he did and which time he took the field. Again, it was a little bit strange to kind of see him do so down the back straightaway, and I did not see the notification in race control, but race control handling it right now. Again, the ITSR officials, cautions are thrown by the sim, but in some instances, if there is no caution thrown by the sim and the officials feel like there should have been due to extreme circumstances, they can push a couple buttons and make that happen. So they are in charge of making sure that everybody gets in their spots, and the lights have been extinguished on top of the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car. Up at the front of the field, Wilson, Benefield front row. Third place, Brundy's arguably a better starting spot than second. Again, Wilson, the control car on this restart down the back straightaway for our fourth time that we're going to go back green, coming off our third caution here, so we had to drop the green flag and then be the third time off of caution. We have a restart. They've been fairly clean so far tonight. Let's see what they do. Pace car down pit road. Wilson waits a lot longer. Green flag flies, and there you see it. Brundy's taking full advantage of restarting in the #3 spot. He's already on the inside of Adam Betterfield for the #2 spot. 85 is just going to tuck on in line behind him. Yes, he does. Kyle Taraska in fourth. Or rather, the 44 of Vincent in fourth. Taraska has to battle for fifth. On the outside is the 20 of Rhett McBride. So these guys going to single file and sort it out for these positions. On back in contact into the corner. The 10 of John Abbott.
Turn two.
He's around in the turn into the wall. Caution going to fly after the 10 of John Abbott.
My bad, I just didn't know anybody was underneath.
He comes over the radio and apologizes. Just lost track of where the other cars were on the racetrack.
I just lost its way where it didn't know. Like,
it appeared that he cut down on the 46 machine going into turn #1. The 46 of March Bractor 10 machine cut down, and then
like
the process of trying to save it backs it into the inside wall and going to put us under another caution flag. Quick cautions here, and then is our fourth on the evening so far. So talked about the possibility of it. If it's going to go green or going to go yellow, and we've had a couple green lap segments per se before lap 40. Already 4 cautions have been thrown, and we're going to step away, take again another quick commercial break. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. We're going to have more racing from Richmond coming up after this.
In a world where survival is the only rule and feelings have no place, where winning is everything and weakness is fatal, how much difference can one person make? That depends on the person. In every life, there is a line that cannot be crossed without leaving everything behind, except faith. Once that step is taken, there is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny. There is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny.
And welcome back once again. The Richmond International Raceway playing host to this evening's race with the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series live, as always, on Monday nights on MW Productions. My name, Evan Pasoko, up here in the broadcast booth here this evening for Race 9, or Race 2 of Segment 2 on this 2014 campaign. And the RSR is brought to you by Gary Mercer Trucking. You can see that design week in and week out on Brendan Mercer's machine, the 29, who currently runs in the 16th spot. But taking a look up front, the lights have been put out on that Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, which means we are getting set once again for another restart after this fourth caution. Wilson on the front row. Brundys took second on that last restart. This time, Dwayne Vincent's the one that is making his way up to the field. And the 58 Wilson on the loud pedal a little earlier this time than last time. He set sail as the green flag flies, and we race him off into turn number 2. The 94 of Brundys, for the first time tonight, is going to protect the number 2 spot on a restart. Unable to capitalize is Dwayne Vincent at a 44, and Kyle Tarasca behind him at a 42. Both these guys, 3rd and 4th, are substitute drivers. Dwayne Vincent substituting in for Glenn Campbell, and Kyle Tarasca subbing in for Scott Stenzel. Both those guys, I know Stenzel was gone on this past weekend racing in the World Truck Series race, so unable to make it here this evening. So Tarasca filling in for his ride in the Yellow Stripes Chevrolet. Justin Wilson way up front, trying to pull away in that very vibrant for 58 JGR Racing Chevrolet. Again, Chevrolet seems to still be the favorite amongst the drivers. We've got a Ford sitting in second, Eric Brundys, and a Toyota sitting in third, belonging to Dwayne Vincent. Looking for a green flag run, side-by-side battle for 5th. The one of Thomas J. George gets to the inside. Rhett McBride will get that spot on the inside. Again, we saw that one stay out not too long ago on I believe it was the second caution of the night. Did not pit at all. Was able to restart in the first spot, dropped back significantly. Been able to kind of balance himself up and maybe try to move back up through the field as he starts to close in on the 42 of Tarasca, which would be for position number 4. Everybody else single file, side by side for 15th. Brendan Mercer trying to get around the 78 of Brandon Peterson. Peterson in that Furniture Row Racing, the Denver Mattress 78 machine on the outside lane with MW Productions on the quarter panel. These guys going at it side by side, and it is going to be advantage to Peterson. That tie by, but Mercer does have the inside lane, the preferred lane, the place that you want to be. Can't quite clear him that time. Now down the backstretch into the 3 will do so. The 4 of Levere tries to look to the inside. Oh, contact! 29 gets a little bit of a nudge for the 78 on that right rear. Both guys able to hang on to it, but that opens up the door for C.J. Levere in the 4, who has taken advantage of it, gone down to the inside lane, and he's bringing the 11 of Jonathan Cadell in tow with him. As both these guys trying to get around and get going side by side and able to make the pass now side by side. Oh, a big wiggle for the 14 of Sam Edwards. It's side by side behind him. The 18 of Hollis Vanderloon all alone on the outside. 55 of Murray-By. 85 of Benefield to the inside, and now the 68 of Simley wants a piece of the action. He goes to the inside. Side by side. Oh, one car spinning down the front straightaway. Caution. Going to fly as one guy that was running up here in the front portion of this pack goes around.
This is going to be
Caution is going to fly once again. Blowing back down. The driver's talking over the radio about how loose the cars are. Mark Bratcher.
He goes in 1.
Taking a look at this spin. Self spin. Alone at a turn number 2. And interesting to see that he ended up 3 car lengths between him and the next car behind him. And he came over the radio and asked if he got hit. So it just really shows you, and it kind of makes it a testament to how quickly
behind me right there?
these cars can, and again, he's still asking over the radio if he was tapped, from behind. But I mean, the car behind him, Sam Edwards, had about 2-3 car lengths minimum. So again, that can really just speak to the fact that how quickly this car can just snap around from you. Doing so has brought out another caution, and that has been, I believe, this is our 5th caution. I think there's about 4 out of the 5 cautions have come from a self-spin out of turn number 4. The drivers know that this is a very loose setup, very snappy, especially on turn number 4 as we come down. Oh, the 44 to Vincent with a beautiful fake out on the pit road and gets the field. Dives out at the last second. He will not come down pit road. First car on the pit lane is the 58 of Justin Wilson. As Vincent pulled out at the very last second. Let's see what these guys do down here on the pit lane into their stalls. Do we see any 2-tire strategies? Got a couple no tires like we saw earlier on the going, except it comes from Dwayne Vincent after pulling out at the last second and avoiding those water barrels on the pit road entrance wall, the pit road wall down there in turn 4.
I got to go all the way to the back, boys.
Everybody out at about the relatively same time. Looks like 4 tires for the majority of our guys. Justin Wilson, the first car that is able to come off of pit road with the 4 tires.
You know what? I'm going to go in.
Dwayne Vincent stayed out, and again, CJ LeVere currently sits in the number 2 position on the racetrack right now, and we're going to try to get over the radio and get a hold of Mark Bratcher on the radio, the in-race reporter. Mark Bratcher, I'm so good to be able to get a copy.
Yeah, I got a copy.
All right, buddy. Well, you're out there on the racetrack right now. A lot of guys have been talking about over the radio. We've been listening in, and it seems like turn 4 has really been causing a lot of issues. A lot of guys getting sideways in that part of the racetrack. What's it like behind a wheel coming off of turn 4?
Good idea.
Yeah, turn 4 is bad. The middle of turn 1 and 2 is a little bit tight, and 3 and 4, it's really not that bad coming off of 4. But when you hit that front stretch right in the middle of the tri-oval, it's really tricky.
Definitely, we've seen a consistent flow of cautions, maybe every 8 laps or so, and it seems like we're pitting every other lap. Does the way that this opening portion of this race is played out, does that play into your strategy a little bit when you're thinking fuel rise, pit strategy wise? Are you relying on this kind of trend of cautions to remain?
Well, we'll be on the fuel strategy after 70 laps in the event. We'll be good on fuel. You won't see the 46 loop at Toyota Camry take fuel at that point to tighten the car up a little bit, but I think everybody can make it on one stop. So after lap, back here behind. I was gonna say this after lap 70, you shouldn't see any more fuel taken at that point.
10-4, you're going to be restarting back there in 20 seconds. Let's see you make it work.
Either way.
Yeah, 10-4, thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
Is Mark Bratcher coming over the radio and talking to us, our in-race reporter for this evening's race in the number 22 spot on the racetrack, going to be on the outside of his respective row as the lights are off the base car. We are green. Dwayne Vincent on the no tires trying to get this thing rocking and rolling. He's going to take off. Justin Wilson breaks early in front of the 94 of Brundy's. That caused a little bit of a checkup going down into the corner.
Did you get a black flag or something? No.
And a single file train of bumper-to-bumper cars makes up the front of this pack. First car side by side, the 85 of Adam Pettifield on the outside of the 14 of Sam Edwards. Edwards subbing in for Joey Giardina here this evening. These guys side by side off the corner. 55 wicked loose of Murray on the inside lane, and that's going to keep these guys side by side as Murray moved up to the inside lane after the 14 went by, and now the 15 going to be able to complete the pass on the inside as well. So inside is place to be, and also on the inside, battle for position number 1 as Justin Wilson is going to get it from Dwayne Vincent, coming at a turn number 4, or rather turn number 2, going into 3 and 4. Make the pass. The 94 of Eric Brundy is going to join him, along with the 1 of Thomas J. George, who has been trying to pick his way back up through this field after a tire strategy call, rather a no tire strategy call after starting 10th. Did not pit when everybody else did, came out to the number 1 spot, dropped a couple of spots, balanced out in around 5th, and has since then been trying to sneak forward, and he looks to the inside of Dwayne Vincent and will make that pass for position number 3. Going to bring the 42 of Kyle Taraska along with him. Taraska in this evening's race, substituting for Scott Stenzel. His number 42 crew as Justin Wilson has opened it up in the #1 position, trying to get this thing going. He wants a couple green flag laps under the belt, I'm sure, because he has been consistently the fastest car on the racetrack right now, and all these cautions would give him is an opportunity to mess up and blow one of these things, get stuck back in traffic, which is not what he wants to do. He has proven himself. Again, he was up front, had a little bit of a mistake, a little bit of spin, was able to hang on to it, got it sideways at a turn #4. Early on in the going, was able to make it back up to the #1 spot. But the car is obviously going to act a lot nicer out there in the clean air as opposed to trying to battle for positions back in the pack for sure. So Wilson, 0.3 of a second is the gap between first and second. Everybody else single file, pretty much two side-by-side battles, starting with position #7. Rhett McBride going to get past for the 41 1/8 and Little. Can't quite clear him that time at a turn #4. And a 41 1/8 and Little will get it done now into the corner. 20 pulls in line, and side-by-side behind them, Dan Murray trying to get around the ring. Chevrolet 14 just spins it. Sam Edwards. Big wreck, the 68 of Simley. The 78, the Ford, a big pileup down the back straightaway as it turns into a parking lot. Coming at a turn #2, caution is going to fly after we pile them up. And it starts with a 14, just getting sideways out of nowhere, coming at a turn #2. 68 machine of Scott Simley gets into the back of him. Simley goes around, gets hit by the 18. We'll have to do a damage report. 18 of Hollis Vanderloon with damage. The 29 gonna pick up damage as well. That was Brennan Mercer. 66 involved. That is Brian Harvey. 78 involved. Brandon Peterson. The 4 of CJ LaVere also involved as a big wreck down the back straightaway, claims about 5 or 6 cars.
Sorry, 48.
Gonna be a premature ending to their night, not what they wanted to see. And again, just as we said that all the spins have happened, coming at a turn #4, single car spins. You see that, and we pile them in there, coming off of 2. Multiple cars involved because it was pretty much right after we went back green flag racing. We got a 5 laps in since we were double wide under caution. So everybody was, or rather nobody was spread out, but it was still kind of jam-packed together, a single file line. There was a little bit of double file back there, which obviously attributed to the fact of all those cars being there and evidently getting collected. It is less than 100 laps to go. Again, 160 laps is the scheduled distance here this evening. Currently working lap 67. The yellow flag again at Richmond International Raceway, Richmond, Virginia here for this evening's race under the lights. If you're just tuning in, quickly run you down through your current championship standings. Rhett McBride, current points leader, 2 wins, 3 top 5s. Second in points, only 3 back as Brundy's with only 1 win, but 5 top 5s. Can kind of speak to the consistency of that Brundy's, who's second in points, has 188 laps. Led McBride only 14, but McBride has more win than him. So it doesn't really matter how many laps you lead as long as it's the most important ones. Brent McBride has been trying to add to that total here this evening, but has only gone backwards in the 20 Toyota, the GT Omega Racing Toyota Camry. Started in 4th, again alongside Brundy's, top 2 in the championship standings, made up row #2. Finds himself back in the #9 spot. The story starts to cycle through. So McBride looking to try to advance that, because as they sit right now with Eric Brundy's second on a racetrack right now, and only 3 points separating these guys, it would not be too hard for Brundy's. And if it ended right now, Brundy's would take that points lead and probably double it. So he'd probably go from down 3 to about up 3 or up 4, depending on how many bonus points you get out there for the leading laps and whatnot. But that is all determined at the conclusion of the races. The lights are off on the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, looking to go back green flag racing this next time around as the field is pacing down the back straightaway.
I don't know
It will
why
be
my,
lap 70,
everything lagged
which will
when I raced
be
that night.
91 laps to go in this thing, which would mark 69 completed laps, so not quite at the halfway point just yet, but starting to inch closer and closer to it. Pace car down to the safety pit lane. Wilson on the gal pedal a lot quicker than normal, but a little bit of a tire spin. Able to hang on to it side by side for second and fourth. The 42 of Tarasca wants it from the 94 of Brundy's to the inside. He gets it. Can the 41 get a nose in there? No, not yet. Nathan Little tried for it. Unable to do so as he battles now. The one is side by side with him, and now the 44 going to join the picture to Wade Vincent. Now going to move up to the inside. He's now going to be side by side with Thomas J. George as the 41 of Nathan Little has almost cleared it, but Nathan Little breaks really early for the corner, and looks like he lets the number 1 car in line.
Wreck on the back stretch.
And now, big wreck right in front of our leaders. Caution going to fly down the back. 1 car around on the inside lane. It looks like everybody is able to avoid it. But it is the car that was running second. The car that was running second was one of the cars that spun at least. It was the 42 of Kyle Tarasca with a solo spin at a turn number 2. Substituting for Scott Stenzel. And moved up to second. Starting this race 5th. Had been consistently inching his way forward, just 1 lap at a time, and it is going to be a solo spin that does him in. Coming out of turn number 2 again. The race started where the only spins that were occurring was turn 4, and that means he's going to make it something right to back-to-back spins out of 2, which evidently does lead to a yellow flag. Puts us in a situation that we are in right now. So we talked with our in-race reporter not too long ago on a couple cautions back. He said, did you get to lap 70? You're good on fuel. Lap 72. I believe that nobody's going to come down pit road this time by, but the next time that they do will be the final stops, and the back half of the track is going to bring him in. CJ LeVere, first car into pit lane from 17th spot on the lead lap of 21 cars that do remain on the lead lap. Going to come down. It will be their final time.
So what did you say would be the cause of my lag when I raced at night?
However, we've seen that these guys go about, well I want to say 25 laps. But if a caution flies in that range, they'll take tires. So we haven't really seen how long they'll push it on a green flag run. Definitely, if a caution comes out after about 25 laps, that they will come down for tires. These guys could be done with fuel. However, they're probably going to put on new tires later on in this race. They're not going to go more than halfway on 1 set of stickers. And the only issue that would provide for them is the tires is the longest part about it.
I think
we talked to Brett there and talking about facts that less fuel, tighten the car up a little bit, possibly help out the race car. Give yourself a little bit of advantage.
You haven't said it right.
Is what Mark Bradford told us about. Less fuel, tighten up the car just a little bit. Could eventually help you. So not only is it a strategy to make it to the checkered flag, but it could also be a strategy to try to time it
down and not
in coordination with the fact that, hey, maybe I need my car to be a little bit tighter, or it's already too tight, fill it up, and maybe it'll make it a little bit looser. Definitely that strategy could be a factor in this. Again, not at the halfway point quite yet. I think we're just about to restart way. And once we reach lap 80 and take lap 81, it will be halfway in this 160-mile affair. However, not quite there yet. And again, this track at 0.75 miles in length, the Richmond International Raceway D-shaped oval race is 136 miles in length. No shorter, no longer, as there is no overtime, no green-white checkers. The iRacing service, why? Nobody really knows. But it's the way it is, the scheduled distance. Going to be where this race finishes, which can always play into strategy at places like Talladega, like we saw last weekend, and also at places like short tracks. Because you know that once you get down to the last 4 laps, it's fair game. Whatever happens, happens. Could wane on them and try to set them up for a pass and maybe say, well, I don't want to quite bump them until the last lap, and in a desperation move, you end up losing the race because the caution flies. So always in the back of the driver's mind. The lack of fear, maybe, to use that bumper, the chrome horn, whatever you want to call it, in regards to trying to pick up that final position. As the lights are off on the pace car, we are going green flag racing. Green flag now flies, and it is the 58 of Justin Wilson able to get it side by side for second and side by side for fourth. The one of Thomas J. George has been moving up through this field, guys. He's up to second now. At a 44, wants to challenge for third, can't do it on the 94 of Brundy's. That is Dwayne Vincent. As quickly these guys sleep a follow side by side for P6. The 91 of Steven Gottschalk is on the outside of the 11. The 11 to the inside, that is Jonathan Cadell. Cadell and him are going to go door to door down the back straightaway, and now coming out of turn number 4. The 55 wants a shot at it. Dan Murray, again, 21 cars of the 27 that started are on the lead lap, and I feel like we're going to have a battle for that number 1 spot.
Sorry, Kyle.
Oh, big wreck. Oh, huge wreck now. Coming out of 2, 4, 5 cars crashing and spinning. Caution. Going to fly. And it's going to start with the 42, or the 03, I guess, of Nathan Bowers. Really has to slow down after having problems at a 2. He's run over by the 42 of Kyle Tarasco. Had a great one coming off the quarter. Did not expect that 03 to get on the brakes all of a sudden. And they make heavy contact. And again, a whole bunch of guys just behind him pile into it as the racetrack was blocked. The 53
we have a
is going to get a piece of it. That's Jose Malbran.
42
a couple other cars. 65 going to get a piece of it as well. Brennan Mercer desperately shooting low on the track to try to get around it. 65 again. Ed Williams Jr. announcing over the radio that his night is done, and he had a perfect looking 65, and when it was all said and done, there was nothing left. Front end of his Delphi Ford Fusion, and going to put us once again under the caution flag. Another mixed decision on pit road. We're going to step away, take another commercial break. When we come back, going to be the second half of this race, which means we're counting down to that checkered flag. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series from Richmond.
Hi, I'm Todd Malmstrom, driver of the 75M Ford Mustang GT. This is what I do by night. And this is what I do by day. I sell new Fords, and I've got the best selection of used inventory that you could ask for. come see me down here at 74.
Are you tired of getting hassled at the dealerships? Looking for a salesman that knows what he's talking about? Are you looking to buy a new or used car? Then look no further! Sexton Ford Moline, Illinois has the biggest selection of new or pre-owned vehicles, and Todd Malmstrom is the salesman you want. Todd is an expert when it comes to cars, and if you don't believe me, then you should see him race on a Sunday night. With his top-notch professional customer service and expertise, he will make sure you go home in the right car for the right price. No hassle, no haggling. Todd will make sure that you're happy when you leave the lot with your new or pre-owned vehicle. Remember, Sexton Ford may be the talk of the town, but so is Todd Malmstrom. If you're in the market for a new ride, then buy one from a winner. Todd Malmstrom at Sexton Ford Moline.
Back live at the Richmond International Raceway. Green flag out just moments ago, and Thomas J. George has gone back to the point after a strategy call earlier in the race got him that track position, and now he sits at number 1 spot, but not very comfortably, as Adam Benefield and the 85 currently sitting in the number 2 position right now. These guys, a little bit of car length.
Hello, Dwayne. Sorry, Dan, I did not mean to cut you off there.
There goes my engine. Thank you.
Well, we do have a minor technical difficulty with our announcer, Evan Basoko, as we are rounding out. We're about to hit lap 96 of 160, halfway now. We've had 8 lead changes, 8 cautions, for 38 laps with only 64 laps left to go. And the number 58 machine of Justin M. Wilson starting to work his way back up through the field. He's now on the backside of the 11 car. That's Jonathan Cadell. Jonathan Cadell sitting pretty right behind the 94 of Eric Brundis. And your race leader right now, the 85 of Adam Benefiel. Thomas J. George looking to find some more speed out of that number 1 Bass Tracker Chevrolet SS as he tries to work his way back up there, pushing it a little bit more every time, getting a little wiggle that last time by off of 2.
One in the grass, going into 1, coming out.
And if you're wondering why you can actually hear the drivers tonight, for some reason iRacing will not let me turn down their volume, so we'll have to figure that out before next week. And Evan, you're back.
Yes.
Oh, God. You're leaving me out here to dry, man.
I don't know what that was, but the internet didn't go up, but TeamSpeak and iRacing, the 2 that we need.
Yeah, only the 2 you need. It's never what you don't need.
That's just the way it works.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we're on lap 102 now of 160. It looks like everybody's starting to single file out, get back in shape. Thomas J. George having a little bit of wiggle problems coming out of 2 every once in a while, but we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, Adam Benefiel has got to the number 1 position. Thomas J. George, leading not too long ago, was able to get that track position earlier on, but he stayed out on a pit stop, got the position, dropped back a little bit, dropped back to about 5th, but was able to advance from where he started that whole transition and had been slowly picking his way up through the field, eventually got up to the number 1 spot until Adam Benefiel, as I mentioned, was on the back bumper. Out of the car length, it was a differential between those guys, and Benefiel now out to the number 1 spot, 0.6 of a second over Brundis. Brundis 1.3 seconds back right now in the number 3 position. And then third on back, really a single file line of bumper-to-bumper racing, but no passing going on. Things starting to single file themselves out, as you mentioned. A little bit of a green flag run maybe in the making here. Again, we've got past the halfway point. We've got over the lap 100 hump and starting to close in on that checkered flag. And Adam Benefiel in the 85 is also starting to pull away from Thomas J. George in second. It is 18 cars that remain on the lead lap right now. 1 lap down, J.O.V. in the 35 Twizzlers machine. We talked about him. He lost 2 laps right at the beginning of this thing. Has been able to get up 1. If we were to see another caution fly, he would get that wave around once again, which is what he's looking for to get back onto the lead lap because of the 27 cars that started this. Again, it is 18 that remain on the lead lap, but something's wrong with his car. He's staying way to the high side, trying to let our lead lappers go by, and then he'll come back down into the groove here and try to knock off a couple laps. Justin Wilson wants P4 from the 14 of Cadell. Can he get there? Inside of the David Cadell. Oh, he gets him loose, and Jonathan Cadell hard into the wall and spinning. Caution going to fly.
You okay, Cadell? I don't think they touched you.
He's going to wreck
Tell me
him.
if I got damage.
And a very strange move as the 58 goes to make the pass.
On your right side, you look good.
The air or something just gets that 11 loose, overcorrects, nails the wall, goes back up the track, hits into the wall again, and a couple drivers make some narrow escapes there. But this does put us under caution just as we started to kind of settle in to a green flag atmosphere, which would wind up this race or wind it down and would benefit Adam Benefiel, conveniently enough. And now we're going to have to see pit stops possibly and have to battle this thing out once again. Pace car is up high and pit road is open. Benefiel in with the 1 of George right on his bumper. All of our leaders down pit road. There's too long left in this race, I'd say, to stay out and hope to be able to hang on to the track position
I
based
got a 4X
on yellows.
I don't know.
The one is in. That's Thomas J. George. Came in pit road second. He is into his stall. How many tires do you take? You're going to top off on fuel just to get that little bit of assurance that you're good to go. And Thomas J. George, a 4-tire stop down at the other end of pit road. A 4-tire stop as well. First car off pit road, Brennan Mercer. However, he couldn't find his stall. He overshot it, didn't find it, did not make a stop. 4 tires is going to be the winner as Adam Benefield enters first, exits first on the pit lane. Thomas J. George exits second. Third, 58, Justin Wilson. Brundy's fourth, and Dwayne Vincent going to be the 5th man coming off of the pit lane. They are going to group up behind the 18 of Hollis Vanderloon.
Tell me to stay behind you.
20 laps down, or rather 9 laps down in 20th. Good news for Jorge Villegas is he's got his lap back. We talked about he was 1 lap down. He got the caution. He's back on the lead lap. After having a close encounter there on the entrance of pit road, he's going to come down, take his service, and is now back in the hunt for this race. He no longer has to stay high every lap and yield to the lead lappers because he's one of them now. And after starting 2 laps down, stuck with it, and now finds himself having a shot at advancing his position.
We have a caution on that, guys.
As this thing starts to wind down.
I was to the hell, wouldn't it?
It is 50 to go as we stand right now. Adam Benefield is being scored as your race leader over Thomas J. George. In second, Thomas and the number 1 machine looks stronger on the rate coming out of a restart. Looked really quick there, coming right off of those restarts on the short run. But then Adam Benefield was able to get it not too long thereafter. Was in the number 1 spot where he ran at the time. For the caution flew. Some of the guys that were dominant earlier here this evening are going to get another shot at this thing. Justin Wilson led a handful of laps. He sits third, and third has arguably been the preferred starting position over second, which is where George will start. So Wilson knows that he can capitalize on this because he has been up front and led laps today so far. Lights are off at a pace car. We're getting set for restart. Inside 50 to go. Cautions breed cautions.
Hey, Jorge, go by me on the outside, man.
Especially when it comes down to the end.
Yeah, copy that.
Going down the back straightaway. We are ready to get going.
So I might just wait for the finish line.
85 at the inside. That's Benefield. George on the outside in the 1. Getting set for another restart. Pace car into pit road. Benefield in control. Green flag back out. We're back racing at Richmond. It is Wilson taking full advantage of the number 3 spot. Gets down in the second. Can the 1 of George sneak in line and hold on the third? There's the 44. Oh, sideways off the quarter. Dwayne Vincent hangs on as the field just chugs on by on the outside lane, and he has to find his way back up under the racing groove in the middle of heavy traffic. 3 wide into the corner by Dwayne Vincent. All around 8th, and they are able to hang on and keep it going. As you can see that the intensity definitely has picked up. Justin Wilson was able to get the number 2 spot from Thomas J. George. And has since been able to hang on. It's 0.4 of a second from him to our race leader, Adam Benefield. Thomas J. George sitting second, or rather third, second to Justin Wilson, as Justin Wilson again was able to get rounded on that most recent restart.
Sorry,
everybody else, that
Dwayne,
2-3 wide back of the pack has kind of settled down a little bit. Dwayne Vincent lost that ground by getting sideways, trying to make it back up. He's on the inside of Sam Edwards. Going to get around the 14 of Edwards. Edwards subbing for Joey Jatina. Vincent himself, substitute driver in this evening's affair, subbing for Glenn Campbell in the 44 machine. And 3 sub-drivers, Vincent, got Edwards, and Tarasca. Kyle Tarasca sits 15th after having a spin after running and making a shot at the lead. His 42 sits battered up in the number 15 spot. Adam Benefield still up front, but it's like Jaws. Justin Wilson getting closer and closer in that rear view mirror. The 58 trying to get it done, trying to solidify himself as that number 1 spot. And then as soon as you say that, Benefield has a spectacular run at a 2. But look at the 58. He drives it in so good on corner entry. It does give the 85, though, a better run off the corner. That's the trade-off you got to make now into 3 and 4. As the 58 just faster. Does he have enough time, and does he have the consistency to put the run together? As he knocks off 2 more hundredths of a second that last time by. Doesn't sound like a lot, and it really isn't. That's 0.02 seconds. It's a 200ths that he knocked off there. Went from a 0.24 to a 0.22, but that's a lot in racing. And a wiggle by the 58 of Wilson's going to cost him nearly a whole tenth, as that now drops down to 0.3 of a second. The gap between 1 and 2. Thomas George in 3rd. Wants to close it on these guys. The pass is going to go for position number 6. The 20 of McBride going to go around Kevin Linden. Now caution on the racetrack. Trouble down the backstretch. Not too sure.
Please, car 1 and 2.
As everyone's going to slow it down. Don't immediately see the cause of this yellow.
Yeah. Nathan, you got some warp issues.
And it is a car in 1 and 2. Steve Gottschalk with a solo spin going into the corner, going into corner number 1.
Sorry about that bump too on the front stretch, man. Did not hit you.
Taking a look at his spin. Once we get it up there on the replay, a very strange spin. Able to save it, keep it out of the wall, running on the lead lap. Does slow us down, and we got more takers on pit road once again. He is led down by Adam Benefield. Eric Brundys stays out from the number 2 spot. So does the 29 of Mercer. 2 guys going to stay out against the world as everybody else comes down pit road for service. They just put on 4. Last time by, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2 tire calls. It's going to be 4, but it's a 2 tire call for Rhett McBride that is going to lead him off of pit road. Right sides only. For Rhett McBride, everybody else 4 tires. No Sunoco fuel, they have enough.
Caution on that, guys.
To make it down to the checkered flag.
Yeah, that's me.
Steve Gottschalk over the radio to race control. John Abbott claiming responsibility for bringing out that yellow flag there after his solo spin in turns number 1 and 2, going into the corner. Again, Brundys stays out from 2nd. Brennan Mercer stays out from around 7th. And a 35 Chevrolet of Jorge Ordonez Villages, JOV, because I probably said that completely wrong. In the 35, we talked about him 2 laps down at the start of the race. Had to try to pick up his laps 1 at a time. And again, he lost those 2 laps right at the beginning. Had to battle through adversity. Literally just got back on the lead lap, maybe 20 laps to go? And he is now in the 3rd spot. He is going to come down pit road this time by. So it will be a front row of Brundys and Mercer on no tires. The 3rd place car of Rhett McBride on 2 tires. Everybody else on 4 fresh Goodyear tires. We close in. It'll be 30 laps to go. Probably go green in the range of 33 or there. And I don't think we're done with the cautions. Saw a string of cautions at the beginning. We got a decent green flag run in around the midway point of this race, conveniently right when my internet dropped. And now typically if you see any sort of caution, you see any sort of caution here late in the going, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be like that to the end because it's increased anticipation, increased intensity, and not only that, but you're going to be coming down to the checkered flag. You're not going to really give those guys around you as much room, and maybe you'll throw it in there. into a position that probably would have thought better of earlier on in the race. Lights are off on the pace car. Brundys is going to be your leader. Mercer on the outside of row number 1. Again, those guys, no tires. 2 tires for Rhett McBride. Starts third. Third has been consistently a better starting position than second because you're starting behind the control car. So typically, I'd say about 75% of the time tonight, third place gets second at a turn 2. Then it is 4 tires from there on back. Adam Betterfield going to be on the outside. Could be a disadvantage. This could play into Justin Wilson's wheelhouse as he's the first car on 4 tires. It'll be on the inside lane. Pace car through 3 and 4, dives down the pit road. Eric Brundy's on the loud pedal. He takes off. The green flag flies. Brendan Mercer with a huge tire spin. And the inside line is going to get a huge advantage. Rhett McBride into the corner, leads in Justin Wilson. Adam Benefield dives down to the inside as well. The 29 just gets freight trained. Brendan Mercer going to drop nearly to 9 before he gets to turn number 3 on those old tires and could not get going on the restart. And now it's a race. First place, no tires. Second place, 2 tires. Third place, 4. And it is Justin Wilson, as I predicted, on the inside who gets the better of that situation and will be able to get the number 3 spot in front of Adam Benefield. Benefield was leading before this most recent caution. And it looks like the 58 of Wilson starting to close in on Rhett McBride, who currently sits on that 2-tire call. McBride started 4th. He runs 2nd, and Justin Wilson qualified in the number 1 spot after being the fastest in practice as well. Sits 3rd, but not for long. On the bumper, does he have a nose? Does he throw it into the corner? Yes, he does. 20's going to give him the spot. Rhett McBride side by side, door to door. For position number 2, the 58 of Wilson. Oh, 20 gets loose and pounds the wall. Rhett McBride, slow in the middle of the racetrack, down the back straightaway. Everybody scatters to get around him. No caution as the 20 gets loose and nearly takes out 2nd and 3rd.
That was some good driving, Evan.
That's all good, man.
And now Brundy's in the number 1 spot. Justin Wilson sits 2nd. He nearly got turned into the wall. That 58 nearly got hooked.
Yeah, by the way, they can hear me right now.
How you doing?
You know, I'm here. That was some awesome driving when he spun out.
Normally you just whisper, so I don't know if they can hear you.
Well, I figured since I had to talk once tonight, you know, they're probably like, "Who the hell is that guy?"
It's over now. You got to keep doing it. So they scattered down the back. Everybody was able to avoid it, but a tough break as the tire strategy or lack thereof does not work out for 2 out of the 3 guys that took the different strategy. Eric Brundy's the only one standing that did not take 4, and he still sits in the 1st spot. Actually picked up a 10th on Justin Wilson. Wilson took it right back that last time by. It is 7/10 of a second with 26 laps to go. 25 this next time by the stripe. Adam Benefield got a little bit of front end damage.
I tell you what, I thought the 58 would have been coming up a lot quicker than he actually is. Not really making up the time like he was before we hit that caution. But
he was chasing down Benefield. I mean, he got 4/10 there.
Just then he got 4/10. Let's see here.
That last time it went from 0.75 to 0.71, and this time out of the corner, let's see what it updates to. 6.5. Another half a second, or a half a tenth rather.
I tell you what, that Justin M. Wilson, man, he is moving fast. But I got to go with Eric Brundy's. He is from a town. He's like 1 town away from me. So
that's the bias.
Hey, but I'm just the broadcaster.
Giving him the love. Got it.
Got to give him a little love, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
If this thing goes green, it's gonna be the 58 by 2 seconds. Because
if the 94 lets him come by. It's coming down to the wire. He doesn't have to now. It's all about blocking. It's strategy. It's playing mind games at this point. You know, we're going to be coming to 20 to go. Fuel's not going to be a problem. I think you said earlier 72 laps to go would be the fuel point.
Yeah, once we got past lap 70, so that was, what, 70 to go, I guess? No, that's like 90. But once we got past 70, the next pit stop would be the final time for fuel. You could top off, but we talked to Bratcher. He said the less fuel, the tighter the car. So.
Oh yeah, that would just keep you loose. Yeah. Well, especially with the way these cars are very unsettling coming out of 2. Getting loose, really not an option, especially for the end of the race.
They're closing. It has been, what, 4 or 5?
That's what you call chasing another
hundredths of a second. It's down to .44.
But Benefield is not letting go of him, though. Benefield is right there where he was. It looks like he's been there the whole time. And I swear to God, I wouldn't even count Benefield out at this point.
We got to think if... Oh, and he spins!
Oh, no! No! And brings out the caution! Oh, man!
Come on.
I did jinx him. It was all my fault. Adam, I'm so sorry.
Hit for talking over... Adam Benefield.
That is the last time I do that.
I was about to say, Justin Wilson could get stuck behind Brundy's, and Benefield could make something work, and killed it. And he spun, and good thing he pinned the gas in the last second, because he would have got nailed. But a 55, a one-car spin, is going to group us back up at a short track, and it'll be about 15 laps. Shootout.
So 18 to go. Do you pit? Do you stay out? What do you do?
If you're Brundy's, I think if you pit, it ruins what you did before. But if you're the #1 guy, you think if I pit, everybody else might stay out. If I don't pit, everybody else might go in. So we've seen gamesmanship by Dwayne Vincent, who is suddenly in 3rd. Let's see what happens. Brundy's lead car down to
I
the
would be
apron
faking
in the
them.
corner.
Oh, he did it.
Go out, and everybody
this
else
is exactly
Wilson in, no, Vincent out. Thomas George out, Murray in, LeVere in, Taraska out. It's a split decision throughout the field, but Brundy's stays out, Vincent stays out.
Here comes a 4-star stop. Once again, I guarantee it for the 58.
Do those guys now that pitted with a split decision, do they have enough time? Because they're going to be outside the top 10.
They're going to be outside the top 10, but this is short track racing. And anything can... Oh, no, Justin misses his pit.
#1 pit stall, and he slides too far forward.
And yeah, he had to back into it, and to save time, he only took 2 tires.
Now, with the cautions, the way the cautions fall, do you think that they will have enough time? If they have a green flag run, I think they'll be able to make it the position. But if we get cautions, they could really hinder their progress. If they aren't the caution, I don't know if they have enough time to make it up through there.
If we have another caution, I think it's probably going to be game over. If we have green flag racing, it might give Justin just enough time. But you got to think he's got the 1 car of Thomas J. George there sitting there. He's been fast all night long. And now look who's also up there. You got Dwayne Vincent and Kyle Taraska back up in the front runners.
Taraska again substituting in the #42 car. Dwayne Vincent also a substitute. Taraska subbing for Stenzel and Vincent subbing for Campbell. Taraska's 42 was up front earlier on in the race, but has damage after being collected in an incident and dropped back to the tail end of the lead lap and is slowly picked away from it. I guess the damage not hindering him too much because, again, he's going to be starting 4th. Thomas J. George on the inside of that row. You talked about Dwayne Vincent in the 44 already has a win on the season as a sub-driver. Sitting 2nd. Eric Brundy's going to have a caution, which means that he'll be able to get that lead on the restart by being the control car. And
I tell you what,
I feel cautions to sneak away with it.
I feel so bad for the guy who starts in 2nd place every single time because it's just a big, huge blind spot. That's why you're seeing the top line fall back so quickly, because on the short track like this, you're coming around the corner, the pace car ducks off like in a matter of a second, and when that happens, it gives the guy the opportunity to hammer down on the inside line on the pole position, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh wait, he's at the start-finish line and I haven't even pressed the gas yet.
When you go into the corner, you got that A post there. It's hard to see the leader. It's hard to stay.
Yeah, the A pillar is right in your way.
You don't want to get up next to him because if your nose is ahead of him and the sim throws a green flag, it's a black flag. That's why you see the guy in 3rd nearly every time.
Get the 2nd position.
Yeah.
Yep. He's definitely got the preferred line, and he can see everything that's happening on the track.
Going to be 13 laps to go. Unlucky number 13.
Hey, Quit saying that, because that's my number in real racing.
That's my number too. I'm 13 for everything. So I like to keep people thinking that it's bad luck so they don't take it from me.
Ah, so now
that's the strategy. Now
I got you. Yep, I'm
so
sorry I had to expose you.
Here we go, Brundy's on the loud pedal. Green flag flies, a wiggle from the 4th place car of Tarasco. A lot of slow cars, 3, 4 wide. Around 5th and 6th into turn number 1 and 2. Looks like they'll hang on to it side by side for 2nd.
Oh, Thomas J. George almost getting out of it. Oh, and a big wreck in the back of the field. Big wreck.
Oh, huge wreck. 91 of Gottschalk, the 10 in it as well. Of John Abbott. Caution once again. As the 10 and the 91 make contact after the 10. Wow, sideways, and a huge hit for Gottschalk. 48 gets a piece of it. 35 goes spinning on by. Just like that. Gonna group them back up. And I believe the 10
I think
is
it actually
it
actually started, I mean, at the very start of that, the 41 had a big tire spin. It bunched LeVere, the 91, and Abbott up, and then Abbott comes out of 2, spins it out into the 91, and that just collected them all.
And there was also a big tire spin from Kyle Tarasca, and I touched on that there was a 3 wide going on around 6th as well. This incident happened a little bit further back than that battle. At one point, maybe even 5 wide at Richmond, down the front stretch into 1. They were able to make it work as the 41 dove to the apron for safety. But then the incident does happen. That's what happens when you have guys on older tires, different tire strategies, getting real antsy on the starts, trying to get a little bit more out of it, spinning the tires, and end up costing themselves and the rest of the field. And
I'll tell you what, though,
now it's going to be inside of 10 laps to go this final restart.
There's a lot of complaints on the radio right now about who spin their tires and who didn't. I tell you, I'm going to commend the 44 of Dwayne Vincent. I know he's just subbing tonight, but he was on the loud pedal almost instantaneously as the 94 was. So I don't know if he's got a spotter helping him out, you know, on the sidelines, or what's going on with that 44 machine, but he was on it.
Now we say that the car in 3rd gets favored. We saw Thomas George get the position on Dwayne Vincent,
but it took him longer.
Out
yeah,
turn 2.
It took him about a half a lap longer than what it was taking everybody else, and that's because Dwayne Vincent was paying attention to what was going on.
It's not uncommon to see a side-by-side battle turn ugly real quick, and one car gets sideways and you can count it done from there. And this time by, I believe we may see these lights go out atop the pace car. Do we have one more time? No, light's going to remain on, so at least 2 more circuits before we go back green, which will put us in a range of about maybe 6 laps to go, 6, 7 to go. As the field is doubled up, the lights do remain on the pace cars. We try to get everybody sorted out. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series Race 9 and Race 2 of the 2nd segment here from Richmond. The Richmond 160 live on Monday nights as always on MW Productions. Eric Brundy's is trying to sneak away with this thing after the strategy call late in the going has gotten the number 1 spot. Maybe not the fastest on the racetrack, but he may be able to hold out if these cautions favor him. Try to get that checker. And the lights are out on the pace car. It is 1 to go until we go green flag racing. So we will take the green flag on lap number 154. It is about 7, I do believe, laps to go in this race. Still room for 1 more caution. And these caution laps take about 4 of them, the cautions. So once you get within 4 or 5 to go, it may end the race if we do see a caution. So a possibility that if a quick caution flies, we will have 1 more restart in this thing, but this could be it. Going into turns 3 and 4. Pace car is on pit road. Brundy's takes off. Green flag flies. No wheel spin in the top 2 rows. The one of Thomas George to the inside of Vincent. Side by side for second, going into the corner.
And don't look now, but here comes the 58 of Justin on the inside of the 44. And he has definitely got his nose in there, and he's not going to give up the position. He's going to take it from him.
He's side by side with Dwayne Vincent. Vincent on the outside, off the corner, actually hangs pretty fair with him as he gets that run kind of coming off out of 4. 58, though, going to get it on the inside. Justin Wilson will prevail in the end, but Eric Brundys has checked out to 4/10 of a second.
And another wreck.
To the inside, and we're wrecking. As Wilson goes for the pass, caution is going to fly down the back straightaway. Trouble. The 46 of Bradger is torn up in the inside wall after the 4 of LeVere gets loose and just sends him for a one-ticket ride.
Was it LeVere then?
Wall. The 4 machine got sideways and kind of clocked him. And in one of the cars spinning to the 85. A solo synchronized spin down the back straightaway as well. Puts us under a caution. This could set us up for maybe a 1-lap shootout, 2-lap shootout, or it could be done. This could go on either side of that bubble here. But I think
we're going to go 1 lap. I think it's going to be a big 1-lap shootout. And you know as well as I do, iRacing rules apply. As soon as they cross that line and the white flag's out, there are no more cautions. So it doesn't matter if there's cars flying all over the place. Yeah, exactly. If there's cars flying all over the place, it don't matter. People are going to go for it.
I feel like if you're that one of Thomas George, you know that you get one shot at this thing. If it's 1 lap, there's no time to get going, protect the number 2 spot, and to make a move. You're going to have to guess that restart. And if you don't guess it right, it's done. You guess it right, though, you're going to have a shot at that thing. But I think that's the only way that anybody's going to have a shot at Brundys, unless Brundys makes a mistake, spins the tires, or spins it out, getting a little bit too anxious going in or out of the corner. But other than that, I think that the 94 right now, it's his race to lose, assuming we do get at least 1 more lap in on this race.
And the 58 as well of Justin. I mean, if he can somehow get his nose underneath that 94 but not go below the yellow line, because that would be an illegal pass, obviously, and they'd probably count that against him. He might be able to pull something off if he can get a good start.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So down the back straightaway, a couple of drivers congratulating Brundys over the radio, which could lead to believe that this may end. Again, the drivers have a counter and they're speaking with race control. We just kind of have to watch the lights and guess. This time by, the lights do remain on, so it is done. Next time by will be the white flag, and Eric Brundys will sneak away with this thing. And
probably not the way he wanted to win it, to be honest.
I'm sure he'll be a lot less stressed here when he takes the white flag, only going 40. But I bet he feels that he could have held him off and he wanted to prove that.
It's so much more gratifying, though, ending under green, you know?
Yeah, don't worry about it, CJ. This race, just in general, was a giant wreck fest, so.
It's going to be 16 cars that remain on the lead lap, that finish on the lead lap, and the 26 that started it. And we talked to the drivers, a very loose setup. The drivers kind of discussing over the radios that they were prepared for this style of race, knowing that the setup was a very challenging one. Being prepared for that. Your buddy's going to get it here, as Brundys has taken the white flag under the yellow.
Well, I mean, I guess we can cut the commercial now.
I wrecked myself, so.
See, so you mentioned one driver, and he spins. Then you mentioned the other driver, and he wins. Doesn't seem very fair.
I don't know, man. I told you I was going for Brundys.
I think it's the cautions that saved him.
It might have been.
Now, if we went green and we did not have this past incident, it would have been a hell of a race.
But
I think if this whole last section went green, that he wouldn't have been able to hang on for too long. He would have blocked, but he probably would have ended up in the fence if he blocked for too long.
Yeah, good job, Eric. Fun race.
But it's going to work out.
Yeah, somebody probably would have punted him if he tried to block.
You're going to give him a little bump draft across the line as Eric Brundys is your winner in the Richmond 160 with the Real Sim Racing and Full Throttle Cup Series. Yes, we're going to step away and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have the post-race show. We'll talk to the top 3 finishers and recap this evening's race and get you set for next week. So don't step away. We're going to have more from Richmond post-race show coming up next.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
We're live, man. We're live. Go.
And welcome back at the Richmond International Raceway, 160 laps later of a very gritty race. It's going to come down to the end, and started off here with the post-race interviews, caught up on pit road with Justin Wilson. Justin, definitely one of the contenders, and at some points in the race, one of the, without a doubt, favorites to come away with this thing, but it just did not fall your way at the end in order to get to that checkered flag. Walk us through those final portions of the race where you had the opportunity to get the win and things just didn't work out.
Well, started off with making a bad call. We decided to pit with 15 to go. Don't know why, but we made that decision to do it. And honestly, I didn't expect us to have 2 cautions there at the end, which really killed us. But for the 2 green flag laps we had, we drove very aggressively to get from 10th to 3rd, so can't really complain about that. I got the setup down pretty well. It was really fast. If you just really, all you had to do was take it easy. Just be easy with the throttle on exits, and it'll drive. You know, it'll be quick. But really, the cautions is what really killed us.
You talked about that setup. A lot of drivers touched on the fact that it was really loose. We saw that corner exit, turn 2, but especially turn 4 were very tricky for some of these guys. And for a little bit of a change, and the majority of the cautions came from a little bit of solo spins, or started as one car just getting sideways coming up off the corner. Do you have any close calls? And you touched on how you had to do it to make that work and be able to be fast.
Well, yeah, I made the mistake of overdriving turn 2 at the very beginning of the race, which made me lose the lead there at the beginning. But we learned from it. Really, it's just, you know, when you're exiting, like me, I was hardly full throttle, but, you know, not even crossing the line. It was like about where I was full throttle off of 4. You just had to really wait on the car because if you just gave it too much gas, it would just spin the rear end and you would just go around. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Patience is key, and it works out not quite the way you wanted, I'm sure, as that car was looking pretty fast out front and arguably had one of the fastest cars out there on the racetrack. You come home third. Who you want to thank for it?
Joey Katina for giving me this opportunity to race for him. This is pretty much all for him. I tried to bring one home for him tonight, but came up a little short, but I think he'd be happy for 3rd place. RSR for putting on the show, and you guys for broadcasting.
Thankfully, that's Justin Wilson going to come home with a 3rd place finish after being fastest in practice and fastest in qualifying. Going to be able to round out our top 3. Next with me here on pit road, we have Thomas George coming home 2nd in the number 1 machine, and one of our dark horses per se. And talk us through that strategy call that happened at the beginning, Thomas, where you stayed out, went to the number 1 spot, lost a couple positions, but in the end I think it benefited you and you were able to be a competitor up there in that top 5.
Yeah, with the way that Richmond is, it's very track position dependent, and with the way the setup was, I kind of figured there was going to be cautions throughout the race, so I decided to take a gamble early on just to see how it could pan out for me towards the end. And for them, like you said, you were right, it definitely panned out at the end. I was able to finish 2nd, but if that had gone green, I'm pretty sure that Justin would have passed me. In fact, he was on the side of me when the caution came out. I was just trying everything I could there to go for that win. All tires on the
Definitely, we saw a lot of comers and goers, but in the end it was the cars that were fast all night long that were in the position for the win. And I know the cautions dropped in a couple weird spots and a couple of split strategy decisions going down to the end. What was your mindset going into that, and when did you pit, when did you stay out, and do you think you had a shot at that win maybe if we went back green flag racing for 1 or 2 more laps at the end?
Whenever we come to Richmond, I always believe I have a shot to win here because it's my hometown track and I always do well here. And if that had gone green, I'm fairly certain I could have gotten maybe a good restart on the outside, but it was going to have to just straight up be aggressive throughout that entire last 2 laps if we had it. And I was going to end up restarting on the outside if we had another green flag restart, and I knew that 58 was fast. I'm not 100% sure if I was going to have a chance to win it, but I was going to give it all my damn hardest on that one, especially here.
You're going to pick up your 4th top 5 on the season to get entered tonight, 3rd in the championship standings. The guy that's going to beat you by 1 point, take home the win, was 1 position in front of you in the points, so really not going to make up a lot of distance, but a solid night, and just can't quite get that first win. Looking forward to these upcoming races. What race do you think you might be the most confident at to be able to pull that number 1 off?
If I was going to be confident, I'd have to say Atlanta, but also, I mean, any of the tracks we're going up to, we're going to, Charlotte next week. I'm always good there. We're going to Atlanta a few weeks, Pocono, somewhere around there. So most of these tracks we're all going up to. There's a chance to win on every one of them for me, and like I said, I'm not disappointed with the 2nd place. I'm happy with that. That's 4 straight races now, especially after last week where I had the electrical issues and made up all my laps and finished 9th. I'll take a 2nd any day of the week, and hopefully we'll get a win here in the next couple of weeks.
Competitively 10-4, any shout-outs and people you want to thank, any sponsors?
I'd like to thank both my painters again, Corey Stockard, James Collins. I'd like to thank you guys for possible, along with RSR, for hosting this. Just thank Bass Pro Shops for coming on board.
Definitely will. Congrats on the top 2 finish. I know you wanted more, and we'll be looking to see you up front here coming up soon.
Thanks, man.
Is your second place finisher, Thomas J. George, another one machine able to come home second, and we've sent Michael Woolley down, and he's somewhere in victory lane with your race winner.
I'm standing here right now with the number 94 of Eric Brundes, bringing it home. Eric, what's up, my man?
Oh, not a lot. How are you?
Oh, don't even be like that. No, you're not going to be the man of little words tonight.
Calm down.
Yeah, well, he sounds really calm for winning that race. I mean, understandably, you were under caution, and I know you probably didn't want to finish it that way, but this race was definitely a battle of attrition. I mean, we had 14 cautions for 63 laps. That's a lot of laps to ride around under caution. Did you think you were going to be able to hold off the 58 and the 1 in the end?
No, I don't know. You know, a couple of runs before that, I'd stayed with the old tires and I was able to hold my own kind of well. And so I told myself, if we get a yellow under 40 to go, I'm staying out. And that's what happened. So, you know, it was a good win for us. And, you know, this is the second time this year we won a race where we haven't been the fastest car. But, you know, a lot of it's just track position toward the end of the race. But, you know, I was battling the weather. It stormed the whole time. I was, you know, racing. And
you and me both, brother.
Had the Chicago Bears car tonight in light of the draft this week, so it was nice to get a win in that, and I don't know, just nice to get another win here in this young season. So.
And I hated to be biased during the broadcast, but I was picking you to win. You were the pony that I picked, and I was kind of torn with that decision because I hate the Bears, but I gotta love the hometown people. So you being just right across the pond from me, literally in Davenport. Bringing home the win. That was an awesome display. Now, we talked with Mark Bratcher a little earlier on in the broadcast. He decided not to take fuel to tighten up the car. On those last few cautions that you did come in, did you take fuel or did you not take fuel?
I took some fuel. I did not top off. I put it up at about 15 gallons, so you know it wouldn't be too tight, but also would take some of the edge off of the looseness, and it worked like a charm, really. I'm not so sure it didn't win me the race, to be honest. So,
well, definitely give you a big shout out here, Eric Brundes. Your second win on the year. Great job tonight. Any sponsors or shout outs you'd like to throw out there?
Well, you know, I just want to thank my teammates for sitting with me, and you guys for a great broadcast. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, 10-4. Evan, take us away.
That is going to wrap it up for a long night at Richmond. 160 laps later, we just talked to Eric Brundes. He's going to go home, your winner, and pick up race win number 2 in this 2014 campaign. For my name, I'm Pasoko. Michael Woolley down there in the production hauler snuck up here and started talking for a little bit. We sent him down to victory lane. He said that once he got over the broadcast, Mike, he just had to keep going with it. So him for joining me up here at the broadcast booth this evening. That is going to do it, again, with the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. Next week, we will be racing once again at Charlotte. Until then, we'll see you there.
DGVertec.net's primary goal is to provide you with a successful website presence. They have purpose-built their web servers successfully throughout the years. The stress testing has been done so that they can provide you with an enhanced web hosting technology that they design for using future standards today for tomorrow. They offer 24/7 support for all web hosting plans. Their team answers support tickets 24/7, so if you have a problem at any time, an agent will be more than happy to help you. If you're not satisfied with your service within 7 days, then you can get a full money-back guarantee, with a 99 uptime guaranteed as well, with plans for shared hosting starting at just $2.95. It's clear to see why DGVertec should be your choice for web hosting. Just go to www.dgvertec.net today, your web hosting solution.